Hello, it's Elizabeth, Countess of Low Carb, and on this episode, we're going to talk to Keto in the UK, coming up next. I should feel like I need to dance. Have you all seen my little t-shirt? Is that not so hilarious? I got a chihuahua on my bosoms. I think he's so funny. Hi guys, it's Elizabeth, proud Countess of Low Carb. We are going to have an awesome interview today. But I'm super stoked while we're getting the technical stuff set up. Keto in the UK has an awesome YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, it's really worth going to check out because she has amazing recipes. But y'all, when she was doing some of her videos, I really could relate a lot to them. I was like, oh my gosh, this sister, like I totally get this sister. She's like me in a lot of respects. We have a lot in common. So
ever did with my phone, ever. And I still don't know where to put it. So we're working it out.
Hello. How are you? We've got Keto in the UK. Hi, honey. How's it going?
Hello. Sorry.
I was feeling like the biggest idiot. I'm like, I'm going to call her Ginger. And I'm like, that's not her name. Do you go by what?
Fair. Actually, I had a discussion yesterday with Tammy from Keto Cows, and she was like, oh, when you sent me a request on Facebook, I didn't realize it was you. And I was like, actually, it's not even for privacy purposes. It's just my nickname from previous YouTube project that stuck with me.
I love it.
It just sounded all right, so it just stayed there, really. Hello.
So do I call you Alicia? Is that what I'm calling you?
Oh, Ginger is fine, but it's up to you. It's up to you.
Well,
Usually in the kid world, Ginger goes pretty much.
Ginger.
So, yeah.
Well, I love me a good Ginger, so a Ginger it is. Well, welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you, and thank you so much. It's nighttime over there, yeah?
Likewise.
Well, I'm stoked. I have about 1 million questions. I just watched your most recent YouTube video, and I'm encouraging everybody to go check out your Keto in the UK YouTube channel because it's got such amazing recipes. It's got amazing, I saw your video from a couple of days ago about how you lost 70 pounds. Oh my God, it was blowing me away.
It's a video to make because I might not be considered one of the best keto ambassadors lately because in the last years due to other issues and life things coming in, I'm actually one of those who regained the weight. So I felt like it was important to explain how my journey got me to lose it and what got me off track to then gain it back. So if you felt like so many people were getting involved with the recipe and everything, I was like, I feel like there is something that needs to be said to be completely honest and upfront. So
I so appreciate your authenticity and your realness. May I talk about that? Is that okay if that's my first question? I don't know if is that okay if I dive into that first? Okay. Well, I loved in your video, you talked about having an eating disorder, and I too can relate having, when people ask me about intermittent fasting, I'm like, that for me dances for me on my previous eating disorder. It pokes the bear for me with a previous eating disorder. And so when you were talking about your eating disorder, and it was not related at all to keto, but it came back. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I come from a history, unfortunately. I suffered from, my specific eating disorder was bulimia, binging and purging. And that was the first time around. I was 16 when it came around, and it lasted for like a couple of years. I was put on medication. I remember very little of that time. And at that time, it was actually related to food and body image, because where I come from, it is very much a stigma to be any amount of overweight. It was also a different time, so probably now there's more general acceptance about that. In Italy, again, where I come from, where I was born and bred until I was 18, it's not something.
Wait, where were you from when you were since you're 18? Which country? I'm sorry.
I'm from Italy.
My favorite place in the entire world. Which town?
Oh my God.
Which city?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's amazing for tourism, not if you are stuck there living. But anyway,
gotcha. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
No. But yeah, at the time, it was like the classic, and always air quotes, eating disorder thing that had to do with, I can't stand my body, I want to lose weight, but I don't know how, and that came around. When it came back, it was it came back strongly, like with a vengeance, in mid 2016. And it had to do with huge issues that were going on in my life, mainly about my mother. And the problem there was that at that point, the eating disorder, that kind of sick behavior was also the kind of outlet that I found. So if I had got, I don't know, into drinking, into drugs, into self-harming when I was a teenager, probably that would have been what I would have got back to when the emotion and the overwhelmness of everything would have got the best of me. I would have got to something that would distract me for a moment, would give me a shot of adrenaline that, you know, would have distracted me from whatever kind of pain I was going through. What I knew though was the eating disorder, the binging and purging. And at that point, it came back to me more for self-harm than anything else, because it's really not pretty physically to go through that. And I paid very dear consequences for that. I literally lost a tooth to bulimia during this last rebound. And you know what? I felt like it was very important every time there's something huge was happening like that, when it wasn't meant to. It's something that I committed to, and when it was really still fresh and in that state, I would actually make a video and explain to people, okay, this is what I've done, this is what's going on, and this is what can happen. And I know you don't think, because I was there myself, you think that you can be very careful, and eating disorders are about having a bit of need of control as well, isn't it? So you think that you're doing, you know, everything correctly. It's not something to take lightly in any sense. So yeah, every time I really felt strongly, and especially when people then came to me, you know, everybody sort of has at some point the trolling comments or whatever, which I personally call me crazy, but I sort of enjoy, because I'm like, if you like me and you spend time commenting, amazing. If you don't like me and you still spend the time watching and commenting, I must be doing something really good.
Right. I get those troll comments too, and I'm like, why are you wasting the time criticizing me? Like, move along.
So when I got those, and I got them a little bit more frequently in the last couple of months, I was like, you know what? It's fair. If it's a fair question, how come you're still fat if you're doing keto and you've been doing it for so long? And I was like, you know what? That's fair. That's a fair question, and I will just assume that there is no ill intention there, even if we all know that's not the case. I just assume that it's a plain question, and I answered it in that video.
Yeah. The video is so good for those of us just joining us. Keto in the UK. I'm obsessed with Ginger's YouTube stuff. She's got beautiful recipes on there. Great. The video we're talking about is the most recent one, and I'll make sure I put it in the description below. The video that I'm referencing is how she lost 70 pounds through keto, but talking about her journey with keto. Do you think that the ketogenics, I'll speak for myself and then I'll ask the question that I'm leading to, but for myself, I feel like the ketogenics diet has kept, for the most part, kept my eating disorder at bay. And I know my eating disorder, it's but a symptom of an underlying deeper root that I've shared about my journey with that. Do you feel that that's the same way, that this biologically with the keto diet, that it's helped keep the eating disorder? I mean, in addition to other things, again, it's just a symptom, but do you think that that's helped you biologically?
At the very beginning, when I started keto, it was 2013, and at the time I wasn't quite having issue with bulimia, but on the side of bulimia, I think I always had issues with what it's probably, if not binge eating disorder, definitely overeating. And what keto did was, for the first time in my life, I had my stomach getting the message, you know what? It doesn't matter if it tastes good. I'm full. Which is something that didn't exist for me before. Because the concept of reward from taste, regardless of whatever happened in your stomach, if it was full or not, there was always the rush. There was always the pleasure. The thing that I noticed, usually after a month that I am strict keto, so I suppose when I become properly keto adapted, that stops. I can genuinely go and feel that my stomach is like, I'm sure it tastes good. I don't need it. Like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I went out with my in-laws and we were out for lunch. And I don't usually do lunch anymore because of intermittent fasting and everything. And we were at this beautiful cafe. They had amazing omelets. And omelette is a staple here if you are in Wales, which I've just moved to. I used to be in London before, so I'm still trying to do the tourist stuff. And they have these amazing omelets, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm going for this, maybe I'm going for that. And then I was like, I am not actually hungry, though. I'll be happy with an Americano because I'm not hungry. And I do understand that it can be a problem for some people, that it might make them feel antisocial because you're out with people and you're not eating. But honestly, after these many years, I think it's completely acceptable when you're out with people, if they're having something, if you have a drink or two, you're still doing the social part, but without having to interfere with whatever your plan is.
Right.
So that controlling the impulse of, well, I'm here anyway, because it's easy. Like the idea of, well, I'm going out anyway, so I have to be sociable. You can't be sociable anyway.
Right. We are sociable, folks. These keto folks, we are sociable.
Absolutely.
We are sociable folks. So what would be your best tip, your best keto tip for somebody who's new, who's starting the ketogenics diet? What would be your best tip for them?
Start simple. It's something that it's something that I keep on saying even in my talkies videos that are not recipes, because I suppose it's not that immediate to understand, because what I do mainly is recipes. So I try to ketofy different complex foods. But the real point, for anybody that is starting keto for weight loss purposes, which is what I know the most about, it's keeping it simple. So the first 6 months of my keto journey was when I lost the most, because fair enough, it was also the beginning, it was the honeymoon phase. But it was also because I was living off of bacon, eggs, spinach, cream cheese. That was it. Because I didn't know enough. And I was literally sent to the lions when I started keto. So I was just literally told to look into low carb, like Atkins stuff. And I was like, I have no idea what you just told me. It was my GP, actually. It was my doctor at the time telling me that. So I was like, I guess I'll look into it. So it took time. And just to make sure, I went to stuff that I knew. Even if I was, like at the beginning, I didn't have a kitchen scale to begin with. So all that kind of thing. The only way that I could be properly, I could know that I was into keto and I was losing weight, keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Keep it
Which
simple.
is not bringing anyone
those lines,
to watch my recipes in return, but it doesn't matter. If that's the objective, that's what matters.
Yes. Well, on Keto in the UK, which is your YouTube channel, and I've gotten the description link below. Everyone should go check that out. What days do you release videos? I know that that's so popular I don't have set days for Countess of Low Carb. What days do you release your videos?
Usually it's Monday and Fridays, and usually it's recipes. However, the things have changed a couple of weeks ago because of people like you, actually. I discovered you, I discovered Chaos, I discovered that there's this beautiful underworld of small keto YouTubers that I didn't realize was there. Like I knew about Headbanger's Kitchen, I knew about Keto Connect, and I knew about these big names, but I never realized that there is this underworld that it's not even necessarily about food or recipes that much, but it's about sharing the journey. Because it's really, I realized that to me it was useful, no matter how long I've been on it, because seeing someone else's experience live, it makes you feel, it makes you feel like you're not alone. And so when I saw that, I started considering all the talkies that I had in mind to do eventually, but I never knew how to integrate in the schedule. And now we're daring doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna keep up. But supposedly the Wednesday, so actually later today, there should be a talkie out where I'm just talking about the theory of keto or whatever kind of issue or problem I usually hear as a most asked question, Today, I think it's going to be about exogenous ketones because thank God, Marina from Keto Diet Hub made an amazing article about how exogenous ketones and weight loss just don't go together. And it's a matter of biology. And I can't believe it took so long for someone to say it. So yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, that's the problem. Like if it's information that it's out there, we need to make sure that it's reliable information. Because I have to tell you this story. Funniest story. I realized this yesterday, and it drove me nuts. Because I'm like, I've been doing this for 4 years or something, and I am liable myself of having repeated a famous keto taken truth without looking into it and without knowing what it meant. And it was about gluconeogenesis. Like one thing that you will hear in some Facebook groups, and we'll leave it there, is that the gluconeogenesis is a demand-driven metabolic state. So don't worry about your protein turning into chocolate cake in keto, basically. Fair statement. I always took it as face value. And I always just thought, some people are more sensitive to protein than others, whatever. Usually it's for people that do higher protein keto than I can do, for example. And by complete different chance, doing the exogenous ketones video and researching for it, I end up having to actually open a biology book, which, given my background, I should have never expected to do, but I did. And among these things, there's, of course, how the liver in general metabolizes energy. And the point is, fair enough, even when we are in ketosis, not most, thank God, but some of our organs still run on glucose. The liver itself, funnily enough, like he makes all the magic about making the ketones, but he can't use it, so he needs to make glucose from somewhere. So it is true that gluconeogenesis is demand-driven, but it's demand-driven the moment that we start being in ketosis, because we will still need the glucose that we're not ingesting. So we're always in gluconeogenesis as well in ketosis. And I can't believe that I just repeated the general truth, like, oh no, gluconeogenesis doesn't happen. It does always happen. It doesn't just happen for protein.
Wow. I looked through some of my past stuff, and I'm like, I was repeating things that I'm like, that's not right. Like, that's not right. I repeated it from a reliable source, and I think the message, my message that I got was like, I need to do my due diligence. If someone says it, I need to double check it to make sure that it's factual, factual and correct. Because there is some misinformation out there, and doing our due diligence to double check to make sure that it's accurate is so important. So important. So, Keto in the UK, your YouTube channel. You had one of your videos, you were talking about a weight loss stall. Can we talk about weight loss stalls? Because I get that a lot in our Countess of Low Carb coaching and stuff like that. People talk about, I'm stalled, I'm having a weight loss stall. I would love, because you shared about the balloon analogy. Can we talk about that?
Oh yeah, well, I think it's one of the concepts that keto helped becoming famous the most is the whoosh effect, isn't it? Which I'm still researching into it. It makes sense, but I've heard discordant sources about how it actually works. Technically and theoretically, as we know it, we can't. Fat cells are some of those cells that just don't die, the little bastards. They just hang in there. The best thing that can happen is that they empty. But they do not give up. They're so attached to life. And
they're stubborn.
The best thing that you can do. So the best thing you can do is manage a way to empty them of fat, basically. Apparently, because they're little sturdy bastards, even when they start empty of fat, they will be like, yeah, but you'll come back to me soon enough. I mean, let's be honest, do you really want to give up on me? So they don't give up, really. They technically fill whatever is lost in fat with water, and they hold on in there so that you look the same, you weight the same or more because water, and you're like, what am I doing wrong here? Until at some point, and we don't, but apparently, again, different discordancy of how, but at some point, eventually they do give up. And apparently there are different ways to trigger this, which I do not necessarily advocate because some of that are going to carbs. which it's too slippery a slope to give trust, if you ask me. But anyway, there can be different ways. I think the entire project of the carb night, which if you don't know and you don't need to look into it. There was a book about this. There was basically ketosis 4 days a week, which is stupid because it takes you more than 4 days to get into ketosis. But anyway, that entire theory was based on that. And yeah, eventually you do give up the water they're retaining. In a daytime, you wait and you're 5-6 pounds less. So that actually is the main way that I've lost weight entirely. But at the same time, I'm not one of those that is completely against food stalls. Mainly because if you have, I guess, more than 10 kilos to it, 20, 25 pounds to lose, it means that for a long time your skin has been stretched and it will need time to go back to the new size that you are. And it's not nice to see how skin can be empty. It depends on genetics as well. Like maybe your collagen is amazing, maybe you're young, whatever reason, maybe loose skin is not going to be that big of an issue for people. When I lost my 30 kilos, my 7 pounds, ooh, if it was an issue. Like, I'm usually relatively lucky with skin, and I realized that I could have wrinkles in places I didn't know we could have wrinkles. So for that reason alone, I am not necessarily chasing the big weight losses now. I know that when I'm lucky and if I really put my mind to it, I could lose 1.5 to 3 kilos per week, but it's not something to aim for, because if you empty too fast, then you get the empty balloon effect and you're just wrinkled.
Yes, I've lost 50 pounds and people have asked me that too, and I'm like, whoa, you don't want to lose it too quickly because you do become an empty balloon.
I mean, some people are just really lucky. It's not necessarily a very common thing that I've seen, but I've seen it on me.
That's true.
So I know that for me, I'm not looking to lose that fast anymore anyway.
Yes, yes, me too. I'm subscribed to the same box. I'm like, I don't want to lose it that quickly anymore because for me, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So it's for tips for people along those lines, though, of losing more than 50 pounds or losing a substantial amount of weight. What suggestions would you have for somebody who's watching who does need to lose, more than 10 pounds? So what is that? 10 kilos, you said was 25. I was trying to do the conversions in my head. 10 kilos is 25 pounds.
I know. It's, I think the whole point, thankfully, is that, again, once you become keto adapted, the hardest part is to go through the first month to me. I personally do not, I've never had keto flu, weirdly enough. But even without that, it's hard to change the habits. I think also our brain takes a moment to readdress all our metabolic paths and accept the fact that we're running on this fat that we have now rather than on delicious and unhealthy stuff. So getting through the consistency of the first month, like I'm seriously here again for other issues and for other problems, but currently now I'm in the longest streak that I've been in the last year and a half since my bulimia came back. So I'd also like to think that I am on a good way to recovery, because my streak now started on the 1st of January and we're still there and we're still good. I hadn't had carbs, I haven't had any relapse in bulimia, and I've been in ketosis constantly, which is the longest streak that I had in the last 2 years. Because it was always, it's easy to reach there, isn't it? So like personally, again, anything bad that would happen, anything that would stress me just a tiny little bit, I would either go to a pill or I would either go to a pill and food. Because it's easy, because right now it will take care of that feeling bad. So if the best advice is hang in there through the first month or so, then it will naturally, then you just have to think of, this is it now. This is how I live. because I think the worst approach that one can have to keto is the general diet approach. Because also, like, one of the things that I was curious about in groups that I'm in for different reasons was people talking about stuff like Slimming World and this kind of commercial diets and everything. And one thing that I keep on seeing there, maybe it works for them and that's fine, but nothing else has the mentality and works all in, all out like keto. And because keto is not a commercial diet, is a state your body is in, into ketosis. And for that to be there, things really need to be very black and white. Your body doesn't take halfway through, because we either work on ketones or we work on glucose. You have a bite on, or of anything that tells your body, hey, we're having glucose again, beat the fat. And we are setting ourselves. Every time that I had carbs, I was set back for at least, well, I was at least out of ketosis for 3-4 days, and it would take me at least a week to lose the weight that I put on in one night. So getting through that and just taking it as, this is my life now, I see that it's what pays the most. Because actually, in all honesty, when I went back and did the math for how quickly I actually lost my weight, again, it was going in whooshes, so I would lose, after a while, I would lose 3 or 4 pounds all of a sudden. Yay, finally, this is working. But on average, I lost 0.2 pounds per week. It's not even noticeable on a scale.
Wow.
So on average, it was so little that it didn't matter. It wasn't a pound a month, and that is weight fluctuation is more than that. But because once you orientate, you're like, I trust this will work eventually. Eventually, you know, it goes up and goes down, it goes up and goes down, and then it goes down enough that even when it goes up, it was down again already. So the key is patience.
Don't ever pray for patience. I learned that one. Don't pray for patience. Do not pray for that. But I mean, really, it is patience. I think that you're absolutely right. That's the answer I didn't want to hear, but that's absolutely the right answer. It is true. Is that it's patience. That this is a journey. This is not a sprint. So, so if you're just joining us, hi Paula, joining us from California. Hi, sweetheart. Like this video, share this video. What? What were you? What was the California part or liking and sharing part?
No, you have no idea. Like, you guys, to me, all live in a movie.
Oh,
because I have
you live in a movie to me.
Knowledge of the U.S. No, it's like honestly, when I had to check where your time zone was, I was like, oh my God, she's on the time zone of New York. Technically, it's the same time that they have in New York.
Yes.
New York exists. It's for European laughs.
Well, I live out. I love it. Well, you're quite cool to me because I love Europe. Now that I know that you're Italian, that you were born in Italy, oh my God, it's my favorite place in the whole world. I love the UK. I want to go back. We won't, with my 2-year-old little boy, we won't be going back anytime soon, but I love Europe. I love the UK. So you to me are very cool.
Likewise.
So,
likewise.
Thank you. Well, I live outside of Washington, D.C. I mean, I'm in rural Virginia, which you have no idea what Virginia is the state near Washington, D.C., but I live outside of Washington, D.C. So,
isn't Virginia the amazing place? It's the hugely long bridge that goes literally over the sea.
Close. That's Maryland, but very, very close. Very, very close. Yes, you got one. Woo, woo,
Sorry,
woo.
Again, I comment. Literally, I am a tourist of the East Coast for how long I spend on Google Maps looking at it. That's another story.
I love it. Well, when you come to visit New York City, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. I have many friends in New York City. So everybody, Keto in the UK, YouTube. So from your YouTube channels, you talk about recipes. You have a lot of recipes. You also have you do talkies, videos. But what's your favorite recipe? Is this like picking out your favorite family member? What's your favorite recipe? Is that a hard one to answer?
Actually, it's an easy one, and it's an obvious one. And I'm sorry, I wish I was more interesting than that. I think to date, my favorite recipe, with the favorite result, was the garlic cheesy buns, because it's the closest thing to actual bread that I ever made in keto. That was
Garlic
a
cheesy
complete
buns.
experiment, because yeah, they actually came in a proper iron skillet and everything. And I didn't believe that it would give me something that could be called even remotely bread. Because we know how it is in keto, and I've accepted it by now. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did a version of the cloud bread that held
Yep.
better together, but I would never call it bread. Like the best case scenario is the keto version of rice cakes. But that one, those were buns, and they were cheesy and they were garlicky, and that was impressive to me. That I think that to this day is my favorite recipe.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, my sister my sister
It
watches
takes
YouTube
a
and things
lot
like
of
that.
work. Like it's the most
It does.
complicated recipe I ever made, because it
Is
has a
it?
lot of ingredients. You have to really measure everything. There is a lot, and everything has to be put at exactly the same at the right time. Otherwise, everybody goes. But
Okay.
once done,
I'm gonna have to
my
check that out,
husband
sister.
with carbs finished those.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh. My sister watches YouTube, and I'm gonna have her watch your YouTube channel too, Keto in the UK. But she did yesterday or a couple days ago the flathead pizza with Alfredo sauce and shrimp on top. I was
Yes.
like, I'm totally making that. I've never done that before, but I feel like dipping Alfredo in your garlic bread, garlic buns. But oh my God, I'm drooling. Ooh, total foodie here. Total foodie here.
Hey, I can hear you.
I love it. I love it. So your favorite recipe, that's good. So what else are we going to talk about? We're about rounding the end of our time. We've talked about your YouTube channel. What else would you like to talk about? Can I turn the floor over to you for anything else before we close out?
Oh, I was actually relatively curious about your journey, because I know that you've lost the 50 pounds, and I know that I don't know, maybe I just discovered you and you've been around for a while, or you're just relatively new to start on Facebook and YouTube. So I wanted to know about how you got started in keto and how then you started doing all the online stuff to share.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. So I started in the end of August. So I was a Weight Watchers flunky. I could not do Weight Watchers, and I was in a group where Weight Watchers was encouraged, supported, and I could not. I worked with a micro influencer who was big into Weight Watchers, and I could not get it. I felt like such a failure, and I felt like horrible about myself because I couldn't do it, and I've had weight issues my whole life. And I stumbled upon this because I was looking into Atkins, and then I started doing Atkins, and then slowly but surely started to creep towards keto. But when I first heard about the keto diet and ketogenics, I was like, that is way too strict. I couldn't imagine ever living my lifestyle like that. But slowly started to go that way because of reading the research, reading the medical research, learning and educating myself more about it, about really joint issues that I've had, depression, anxiety, having an eating disorder, being a rape survivor. For me, being a rape survivor, there's lots of body things that go along with that. And through my healing through that, it kind of led me along this path. And so I started with YouTube at the beginning in the fall of 2017, and have been so grateful for the success with that, because I feel like it is comforting, like how you're sharing about you don't feel alone. That's how I feel. Is this makes me accountable. This makes me not feel alone. I feel like the people, for example, Diana's on here. She and I have been with each other for a long time, cheering each other on. And to me, this is cheering and encouragement that we don't have to do this alone, and we don't have to feel alone, and that there is a solution. And it's a great way of living. When I allow myself, sometimes I will get in my own way, and old bears and things like that will pop up, and but that to me is part of this journey of the more I lose the weight, the more I'm learning about myself, and really what like the hidden root, and how I had said earlier that to me this is but a symptom of the weight was but a symptom. It's but a symptom of a deeper underlying cause, and that there's a solution through this way of eating, and through some other tools. So that's how I started. And so I'm grateful to be along the journey with people like you with your amazing channel. I mean, gosh, I really wanted to binge. I've been like binge watching. But the way you do your videos
It's
is
not
so
easy
creative.
watching things. That as RuPaul says, if it's binge watching, I approve it. As long as it's just the watching, that's fine.
Yes, binge watching my heart out. Binge watching my heart out. Well, I would love to do this again. Could you come back, or could I come on yours? Could we do something again in the future? Because I very much enjoyed sincerely speaking with you.
I'm not that good, as proven, I am not that good on Facebook, but we tested it last week, and I can definitely work with Hangouts on YouTube. So as long as you have, if you do it on your computer, I don't know about the app, because again, I'm more on the computer.
Okay.
But if you go
I don't know
on
either, I'm
YouTube
afraid.
on the computer, you can access Hangouts from there, and we can definitely do it there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've never done I've done a YouTube live, but not a YouTube live with somebody else. So if you're the leader of the pack, I would love to, that would be fun.
The only difference that it's something that unfortunately there is no workaround, you just work differently, is that you don't have the simultaneous casting of both screens. So it takes from the voice of whoever is talking to give the screen. And that's unfortunately something that cannot be modified at our end. But other than that, peachy.
Okay. Oh, peachy. Look, you're already talking like you're from New York City there. Peachy. Peachy Keen. Peachy Keen jelly bean.
No, well, you know what? That's the trouble. I've actually learned English out of American TV. So by now I know for sure that I will never speak with a proper British accent. I've given up on that. I'm happy to have my exotic accent. That's fine. But my English comes from American TV. That's literally how I learned. At some point, decades ago now, I was stuck in Ireland for 2 years, and what I was watching all day long every day was Friends.
That's my best friend's show. My best friend, that's her favorite show. That is so funny. Who's your favorite Friends character?
Chandler.
I was going to say you like Chandler. I knew it. I knew it. I was paying you for liking Chandler.
It's a close by with Phoebe, and also my husband has the very sustainable idea that I am a mix between Monica and Phoebe, yet...
I cannot wait. If Christy, if you're watching, I'm going to totally text you out. That's my best friend. She's obsessed with Friends.
What's yours? What's yours?
Oh, well, okay. So it's from the 1980s. It's Golden Girls. And I know that makes me seem like a weirdo. I don't even know if you know what Golden Girls is, but Golden Girls is my favorite show. And I watch it. It's from the 1980s, and I watch it on like Amazon Prime. Have you heard of Golden Girls?
Okay, I have to. If it's on Amazon Prime, I can watch it. I'll find it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Do you know Betty White?
No.
No. Okay. She's old. I mean, I love Betty. She's older. It's 1980s. So yeah, it's one of my favorite. And people are like, "You're such a that and Real Housewives." I love Real Housewives on Bravo. Do you guys have Bravo?
No, we don't. I know the existence of all this stuff, because I've heard somewhere either on the internet talking about it, but also my bad. Because I don't actually have a proper TV subscription or anything. Everything I watch is on catch up, so I need to specifically know that something exists to go and look for it. That's my bad. Yeah. I'm a bit out of culture in general, to be honest.
We just got rid of our cable, so now I'm like, unless you tell me about it, I'm not gonna actively. I don't know. So
just find it.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you so much. It really has been, Ginger. You've been awesome. Like, I'm really stoked to talk to you again. Everybody, go check out Keto in the UK. Yay! Yay! Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, next time we'll have to have tea together. The Countess would love to have some tea.
Indeed.
Indeed, indeed. Well, everyone go check out Keto in the UK. I'll put it in the description links below. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, friends. Bye.